Nagmalitong Yawa, a modern retelling of an ancient story of a fierce Filipina heroine. Whenever this epic is told, as it has been for hundreds of years, it starts with the introduction of Datu Humadapnon. He was a handsome and brave warrior, the oldest son of the ruling family of the island of Panay. But this tale is not named after him, because what you're about to hear is an adventure of his that goes very wrong, and how he needs to be rescued by the woman he was on his way to court. She is the true hero of this story. Her name is Nagmalitong Yawa. Can you say it out loud? Nagmalitong Yawa. An epic heroine's name deserves to be known. Nagmalitong Yawa was a binukot, a woman of noble birth. Considered the most beautiful in their land, she was kept in a tower for no man to gaze upon until it was time for her to marry. But Nagmalitong Yawa was more than just a beautiful maiden. She was a powerful woman who knew mighty rituals and called on the spirits as her friends. Nagmalitong Yawa lived in a place where the sky met the sea, by the river of Halawud, far away from Humadapnon. Humadapnon lived in the noble house of 10 roofs. Humadapnon lived in the noble house of 10 roofs by the river of Panay. There he was lonely. Oh, how I wish to find a partner, a wife, he sighed to himself, a companion who is my equal. He looked all over his family's domain for a woman to marry, but found no one. When he fell into an exhausted sleep, his spirit friend, Taghoy Duwindi, came to him and whispered his destiny. Nagmalitong Yawa was the name he gently sang in his ear. Can we whisper it a few more times? Nagmalitong Yawa, Nagmalitong Yawa, Nagmalitong Yawa. This was the name of the binukot who was as beautiful, noble, and powerful as he. Humadapnon knew at once that he had to set off to where Nagmalitong Yawa lived, where the sky met the sea. He asked permission from his father Buralakaw and mother Ginbitinan to journey in a strong and golden sailboat. He asked his younger brother Dumalapdap to accompany him. His heart was aflame. He was determined to win the love of the woman his spirit friend had described as his equal. With gongs ringing and people waving with cheers and blessings, Humadapnon and Dumalapdap set off. In the open sea, they encountered all kinds of danger. There was the passage in between two rocky islands that smashed together at a deadly rhythm. Then there was the sea called Panibyungan, which was as sticky as gum that bleeds from a tree. But despite all this, they sailed through. After many moons, they reached a terrifying place. They were warned about by their parents and elders. Whatever you do, do not stop in that cursed place, they were told. This place was one of dark magic, an island renowned to have an enchanted cliff beside Mount Canlaon. It was called the Tarangban. But as they were making their way past the shore of this island, they beheld the most captivating sight. On a ledge by a cliff was a beautiful maiden beckoning to them. Flirtatiously she called, "Come, handsome Datu. Let's enjoy each other's company, even if just for a little bit. What the brothers did not know was that this maiden was Malubay Hanginon, the queen of the evil maidens who lived within the Tarangban. The glittering sailboat and handsome Datu had earlier caught the eye of one of the evil maidens from far away, and she had hurried to fetch the queen to tempt them. Humadapnon could not resist the enchanting queen. He jumped out of the sailboat and hurried to where she stood on the ledge. Behind her was the Tarangban. Magically, the stone wall of this cliff opened, revealing a cavernous blackness. Dumalakdak ran after Humadapnon, calling out at the top of his voice, "Do not go in there, brother!" But Malubay Hanginon lured him inside, and with many other evil maidens grabbed hold of Humadapnon and drew him further into the darkness. Alas, when Dumalakdap reached the opening, he and Humadapnon had only a moment to lock eyes before it slammed shut. A portion of Dumalakdap's pants got caught within the wall, and he was so embarrassed. But worse than that, Dumalakdap realized that Humadapnon was now trapped inside the Tarangban. Dumalakdap pounded on where the opening had been. It was now just a smooth rock surface. From inside the cliff, Dumalakdap heard Humadapnon shout, "Brother, they have imprisoned me. Please go to father and mother and tell them to come and bring our greatest warriors." On a flying shield, aided by the wind, Dumalakdap rushed back to the island of Panay to deliver the unhappy news. Father Buralakaw and Mother Ginbitinan were filled with great sadness. Their son did not heed their warning about the island of the Tarangban. They armed themselves with weapons and ritual tools, and soon were swiftly flying across the seas on their own enchanted shield. When they arrived on the cursed island, they dashed to the Tarangban. They shouted through the stone wall, "We are here, Humadapnon!" But inside the dark caverns, the handsome Datu was now unconscious. The evil maidens had dragged him into a chamber even deeper within the cliff. Humadapnon's father, Datu Buralakaw, applied charmed oils on the cliff face and called on his spirit friends to help open it. He took his sword and slammed it against the stone, but nothing happened. Humadapnon's mother, Ginbitinan, did the same. The cliff showed no signs of opening up. And so the noble family ordered their servants to ring their mighty gong for all to hear. The sound of this gong was a plea for people across the seas to come and help. A multitude descended upon them from every direction. They displayed their power as they tried to open the Tarangban with magical rituals and the force of their strength and weapons. But no one succeeded. Dumalakdap wailed, "Will my beloved brother stay trapped in the wretched Tarangban forever?" Taghoy Duwindi, the spirit friend of Humadapnon, approached him and gently said, "There may be one hope. Do you remember the name of the one your brother was journeying to court?" "Nagmalitong Yawa," Dumalakdap whispered. "Yes," replied Taghoy Duwindi. "She is a powerful and wise woman. And because she is the equal of Humadapnon, she may be the only one who can rescue him." In his heart, Dumalakdap felt this to be true. And so he asked Taghoy Duwindi to whisk him away to her. Dumalakdap and Taghoy Duwindi arrived at the sleeping tower where Nagmalitong Yawa, being a binukot, lived by herself. She was doing her embroidery, creating beautiful designs. Dumalapdap and Taghoy Duwindi told her about the woes of Humadapnon, begging for her help. "Why should I go and rescue this foolish man?" Nagmalitong Yawa asked. "Because he was on his way to you," replied Dumalapdap. "Because he believed that you are his equal. Only you are his match. We have faith that because of this, you alone can rescue him from the Tarangban." Moved by this, Nagmalitong Yawa agreed to help. "But I'm not allowed to leave this tower," she said. "How will my family not notice that I have gone off to a faraway island?" Because she was smart and powerful, the solution soon came to her. "Ah, I know. I will turn my pillow into a likeness of me." She arranged her pillow to look like it was sitting up and danced around it in a circle 7 times. Then she called on her spirit friends to make her power rise. And soon, the pillow was transformed into a maiden who looked just like Nagmalitong Yawa, doing her embroidery, creating beautiful designs. Nagmalitong Yawa knew she could not leave the tower unless she too was transformed and disguised. Once more, she drew upon her power. 7 times she called out to her spirit friends, "Change my body and make me look like a man." She clasped her hands behind her back, and her maidenly form vanished. In its place was the body of a formidable chieftain, who in every way was as handsome and powerful as Humadapnon. And yet, there was a softness in his features, and the sweet scent of the binukot remained on his body. Nagmalitong Yawa, now in this masculine form, told Dumalapdap, "Do not tell anyone who I really am. Datu Sunmasakay is how I will be called." As Sunmasakay, she put on the full regalia of a young Datu. From a trunk carved with crocodile designs in gold, she chose a suit of rare fabric, a headband, a belt, a necklace to the waist, bracelets and earrings, all with great care. She then armed herself with a sharp sword and a mighty spear. A golden shield she slung on her arm. Nagmalitong Yawa, now disguised as Datu Sunmasakay, flew across the seas riding on a shield blown onward by an enchanted whirlwind. When she arrived on the shore of the island of the Tarangban, she noticed the defeated faces of Humadapnon's family and friends. Meanwhile, they marveled at her presence as she jumped off her flying shield. What they saw was a handsome and powerful warrior, a nobleman they were unconsciously drawn to by his feminine face and scent. "I am Datu Sunmasakay. Why has the gong continued to ring for days on end? Is there someone in trouble?" the newcomer addressed the crowd on the beach. The people answered, "Datu Humadapnon has been imprisoned in the Tarangban, and we have all tried but failed to get him out." Sunmasakay announced that she would help. She and Dumalapdap strategized all night, deciding she would mount her attack early the next morning. At dawn, Sunmasakay created an altar in front of the Tarangban and called upon her spirit friends. She walked around the altar in a trance, and her power increased. She brushed the enchanted cliff with ritual oils. She wedged her sword into the stone wall and cried, "Come, my spirit friends, part this rock and let us enter the Tarangban." The cliff face trembled and the stone wall began to crack open. Yes. Nagmalitong Yawa, in the form of Sunmasakay, marched into the Tarangban together with Dumalapdap. The maidens crowded all around them, greeting the warriors with a seductive, "Hello, handsome." But Nagmalitong Yawa was not deceived by these beauties. She knew the evil they were capable of. You have brought Humadapnon to darkness and have been merciless to him and his family, she bellowed. For that I will pay you no mercy. She swung her weapon and soon put them all to death. Soon Masakay then trudged deeper inside the taramban, searching for Humadapnon. In the innermost chamber, she came across Malubay Hanginon, the queen of the evil maidens, the one who had lured Humadapnon into the darkest of depths. She grabbed her by the hair, dragged her off the hammock, and raised her weapon. The queen screamed. Her wails reached Humadapnon, now fully enchanted. He had become an aswang, a monster who feasts on human flesh. He was gnawing on bones in the deepest, blackest corner of the cave. Snarling, he attacked Sun Masakay. With great force, Sun Masakay shoved him away. Enraged at what she had done to Humadapnon, Sun Masakay slashed the evil queen in half and chopped her to bits. Dumalapdap then tried to approach his brother. But when Humadapnon smelled Dumalapdap's noble blood, he bared his teeth and lunged at him. Dumalapdap ran to hide behind Sun Masakay. Nagmalitong Yawa, still disguised as the warrior Datu, pointed her spear at Humadapnon and bellowed, "Stay away! You who allowed yourself to become fully enchanted, or I shall kill you too." With his head bowed low, Humadapnon returned to his dark corner, turning his moss-covered back on them. Dumalapdap, gazing at his brother, wept bitterly. "Oh, Humadapnon, why did you not heed the warnings about this place? You were too proud to listen to our elders who are wiser than us. You once were such a good brother, a wise and noble man, and now you are like an animal we will need to put in chains." Nagmalitong Yawa took pity on Dumalapdap and decided to use her power once more, this time to help bring Dumalapdap back to his old self. She wrapped a golden chain around the cursed Humadapnon's waist and dragged him out of the taramban. Maddened, he fought and he howled. Now an aswang, he wanted to run into the dark jungle. But she pulled him with all her might towards the beach where the crowd was gathered. Humadapnon lunged towards the people, including his own family. Humadapnon growled. Everyone was shocked to see what had become of the once noble Humadapnon. His father, Buralakaw, his mother, Ginbitinan, and his brother, Dumalapdap, wept in pity and in shame. The beach became quiet when they noticed that Nagmalitong Yawa, in the form of Sun Masakay, began a powerful ritual over Humadapnon. First, she tried to get whatever human blood she could from the enchanted and horribly transformed Humadapnon. She pierced his throat, she squeezed his flesh, and all she collected were 3 drops of his blood on a ritual plate. The aswang body of Humadapnon was then thrown into the sea to be eaten by sharks. Drops of blood from Humadapnon's father, mother, and brother were then poured into and mixed in the ritual plate. This was supposed to create Humadapnon's new body, but it did not form. Dumalapdap appealed to Sun Masakay to add her own powerful blood, and so she applied a few drops of her own blood onto the ritual plate. She covered the plate with a cloth, circled it 7 times, and stepped over it 7 times. When the cloth was lifted, the human body of Humadapnon was formed, but it had no breath. So Sunmasakay called for the hawk to come. She gave the mighty bird these instructions: fly up to heaven and go to the well touched by the noonday sun. Bring back some of that sacred water. When the hawk reached the well, he found it to be guarded by a crocodile. The smart hawk distracted the crocodile and was able to plunge his wings onto the well, absorbing the water on his feathers. He flew back down to Sunmasakay and on her orders flapped his wings and sprinkled the magic water on Humadapnon. He started breathing. Humadapnon sat up, but he did not yet have the mind and soul of his former self. Once more, Dumalabdap appealed to Sunmasakay. Please make my brother the good and wise Humadapnon he once was. Again, her heart was stirred. So Sunmasakay prepared a small bowl of ritual oil and herbs, placed it on top of Humadapnon's head, and gently blew on it. Humadapnon's handsome and noble appearance returned, and he began to awaken. But before he was completely conscious, the warrior healer said her goodbyes to Humadapnon's family. The heroic Datu, with a feminine face, walked away, leaving a trail of her feminine scent. Sunmasakay found a secluded spot and summoned the spirits. Turn me back into a maiden again. She clasped her hands behind her back, and once more was the beautiful form of Nagmalitong Yawa. Now, fully awake, Humadapnon asked what had happened to him. Others tried to take credit for his rescue, but Dumalabdap told him the tale of how Datu Sunmasakay saved him from the Tarangban and resurrected him. He then whispered to his brother that the warrior healer who had saved him was actually the woman who was his equal in disguise. He then pointed to the far side of the beach. There, Humadapnon saw his rescuer, the beautiful, noble, and powerful Nagmalitong Yawa. The end of their story in this part of the epic.